newspapers in the Philippines are not very well compensated.
Correct.
And to be a bestseller in the Philippines, you just sell 1,000 copies a year, you're considered a bestseller.
Okay.
You go to China, Europe, or US, you have to sell tens of thousands, 500,000 books or millions of books. I think in the world that is very chaotic now, not only Philippines, US, everywhere, people with media influence and media platform should try to not only entertain people, hopefully should enlighten and give knowledge to people, empower them with knowledge and truth, and most importantly,
Wow, Wilson, meron ka palang piece dito sa Abante today, ah.
also Philippine Star.
Oo nga, no? Kwentong panadero, right?
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday indeed to everyone. Welcome to our episode 2 ng Pandesal Talks.
Yes.
And our episode today, Wilson, might be in your disposal talaga, no?
Yes.
Which is, we want to talk more about the power of writing, reading, and media work, right?
Yes.
So siguro, I want to start first, Wilson, by going back. You mentioned in our first episode, right?
Yes.
That your mom was actually a teacher, right?
Yes.
Could you tell us more about, your most memorable learnings from her? No? Back in the days, no?
Yes.
Which is why now, you continue to do what you do, diba? You still write for Abante, for Philstar,
Yes.
diba? And you do this podcast with me, diba?
Yes.
So, yeah. Anything that you reminisced about your mom?
I remember distinctly she loves reading. She enjoys reading books, newspapers. She taught me the importance of literature, history, and love of writing.
Yeah.
I became addicted to writing because of her.
Yeah.
So I write a column usually Sundays in Philippine Star. Also every Sunday in Abante.
Even in
newspaper.
Abante, no?
Yes, because I used to write for
Yeah.
Ateneo de Manila University's Matanglawin,
Wow.
Filipino newspaper.
Wow.
And I used to be editor of the Gaidon College paper and columnist also
Yeah.
in Ateneo.
Why do you still continue to write
Yes.
for a newspaper in an age where, a lot of people are now getting their news online, diba? What is the art, in actually writing there?
I believe not only it's an important art, more importantly, I think newspapers, even though not everyone reads the news physically on paper, the sources of your news reports and your analysis of news, if you read credible sources like Philippine Star, and this is a tabloid newspaper,
Yep.
Abante, it's in Filipino. If you have credible sources, the news is most likely accurate. Because everybody
Okay.
is a news source.
Okay. Yes.
Every
Yes.
person is a blogger. Every person has a YouTube,
Yeah,
Instagram,
yeah.
Twitter, Facebook. But if you read news sources like Philippine Star and other news sources, they are vetted. They have editors, they have publishers, they have teams of journalists going around looking for news and verifying the news. So, mas higher credibility.
I see.
People, even though they read my columns and other articles sa news online, I believe it's better also than you yourself lang putting it up
Right.
on
Actually nga,
Facebook, Twitter.
I heard, Wilson, our previous president, si PDDR, no?
Yes.
PDDR, no? Has a
Duterte.
stack of newspaper every day in his table.
He reads books also.
Oh, even books, no? Talaga?
And the father of the president now, si
Correct.
late President Ferdinand Marcos, loves to read
Exactly.
books and newspapers. And the ate, si Senator Amy Marcos,
Wow.
is a very voracious reader.
Correct.
I have an anecdote for you about news. The late Senate President Edgardo Angara,
Okay.
father of Senator Sonny Angara, I heard from his assistants every morning daw, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Umaga?
Oh, kasi
Gising na.
they live in Makati,
Yeah.
Marinas Village.
Yeah.
So the newspaper boy would deliver the newspapers house to house, maybe 6, 7 o'clock,
Yep.
8 o'clock. Hindi daw makahintay si Senate President Edgardo Angara. He would ask his
Yeah.
staff in the
Yeah.
house to ride the motorcycle
Yeah.
every morning 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Manila Port area daw,
Yep.
and buy the newspapers there and bring it by motorcycle to him.
Yeah.
So he will read all the
Galing.
newspapers because every morning now, all the radio stations in the Philippines, mga DCBB, DCMN, DCRS,
Yeah.
would call him up and say, Senator, Senate President Angara, ano reaction mo sa column ni Wilson Flores today sa Philippine Star or
Wow.
yung news sa ganyan-ganyan.
Wow.
May sumabog daw na bomb sa Sulu.
I hope you haven't
ganyan.
enraged any officials with your
Wala naman.
piece, no?
I have in the past irritated kasi
Tinawagan ka ba? Tinawagan ka?
in-invite ako and nag-complain kasi I don't usually write talaga political
Right,
columns.
right.
But before in the past, some of my columns, I use humor and satire to make fun of some politicians.
Actually,
I will tell
Wilson,
you later.
yeah, I appreciate, you writing in this form of traditional media,
Yes.
no? Because I consume my content in social media, in Twitter,
Yes,
diba?
everyone.
In
Yes.
TikTok, in Facebook. But then, people tell you that there is an echo chamber there.
Yes.
Those posts that you like are only the things that will be fed to you.
Yes.
Diba?
So,
Pero in a
you don't
newspaper, correct.
get a bigger picture.
Exactly. In a newspaper, there will always be a business column. There will always be an entertainment column. There will always be a piece from Wilson
Political
Flores.
column, yes.
Diba? And it makes news, consistent throughout, diba?
By the way, yung column ko, my column today, May 19, 2014 in Abante, this one, ang payak na pamumuhay
Wow.
ni Henry C. ng
Wow.
SMNBDO.
Wow.
And SMNBDO. The English translation of this column came out also today in billionario.com. I
Okay.
have also a column at billionario.com.
Yeah. Grabe. Thank you for, writing a piece about late great Tessie C and even Mr. Henry C, no?
Yes.
For that pieces. Wilson, let's imagine you're talking to someone with a totally different career. Let's say,
Yes.
just for example, JR is in the industry of production.
Yes.
And then you're also talking to celebrities. You're also
Yes.
talking to maybe an athlete,
Yes.
right? And if you were given maybe 2 minutes with them to
Yes.
convince them why reading and writing and learning is important, how would you do that?
I will tell them whatever your profession is or whatever you want to do with your life, first, if you know how to write well, it will make you a better engineer, it will make you a better
Really?
dentist, it will make you a more successful doctor, it will make you a better lawyer,
Yeah.
definitely, it will make you the better and more effective senator, it will make you a better movie star. All the best movie stars that I know, many, not all, in the Philippines are not the prettiest, are not the smartest, are not the best in acting or singing, but they read a lot, and somehow it changes their mindset.
And the way they act.
The way they
Ang
act
galing.
their life, the
Yeah.
way they plan their life, the way they do everything.
Yeah.
Ann Curtis, Chris Aquino,
Really?
all of these people are readers.
Natatanda ko nga, Wilson, NBA superstar si LeBron even mentioned that he is one of the greatest players of all time because
Yes.
he knows the history of the previous players that played before him.
Magaling siya. This LeBron James, what he said is exactly bullseye. When you read kasi, you can read the past, the record of other people before
Okay.
what
Okay.
they've gone through.
Okay.
You don't need to live 1,000 years old
Okay.
to have 10 lifetimes.
Okay.
By reading every book, you have lived a lifetime.
Okay.
By reading biographies, one of my favorite books, one of my favorite genres of books to read, biographies of great people, whether great politicians, great athletes,
Yep.
great showbiz stars,
Yep.
great business tycoons. Biographies are fantastic to read. So when you read, you learn the past. When you learn the past, you become a better person.
Yep.
And you avoid the mistakes
Galing.
of previous people.
Galing. Galing.
And isa pa, I notice, people who read unconsciously, subliminally, or without effort, natututo ka with language. You become better at language. You don't have to memorize all the grammar rules of your language teacher,
Correct.
your English teacher.
Correct.
By reading good books and reading good essays, good columns and articles, magiging second nature. It will become second nature to you to have good grammar
Yep.
and good language.
Yep.
It's like Lea Salonga. Oh, by the way, Lea Salonga is one of the most well-read showbiz personalities in
kahit
the Philippines.
kahit ang main profession niya ay kumakanta, right?
That's why she is a better singer than all the other singers.
Really?
Maniwala ka.
Really?
Because she is more intelligent, so she is more disciplined, she has more strategy
Yes.
with her life and her,
With her vocals, right?
she reads a lot. Scientifically, I'm sure there's a connection. And I'll tell you why I cited her name. She is so good at music. One time daw, she was recording her song. She was singing. She was accompanied by an orchestra. In orchestra, complete.
Correct.
Guitar, may
Yep.
whatever, piano,
Yep.
everything. Then in the middle of the recording, singing, suddenly she stopped. Somebody daw in the orchestra, wrong notes.
Wow, narinig niya, no?
There's something wrong. And then the conductor said, ang OA mo naman. There's no such thing. Let us, okay, read it again.
And that
There's
is why
none daw.
she is the maestro,
Wala
right?
daw. There's no sabi. The conductor said, no, I did not hear. Let's proceed again. Let's record again. So record again. After recording everything, the conductor went to the recording and checked everything, reviewed.
Yep.
She is correct. She
My
was
God,
correct.
my God.
There was one part there in the middle. Somebody among them made the wrong note.
Baka may perfect pitch siya, no?
No, that shows you. It's like reading and speaking and writing. If you always read good works,
Yep.
maybe good columns like Wilson
Yeah.
Flores column, or whatever. No, that's okay. Any good works that you keep reading,
Yep.
yung good grammar and language magiging second nature to you na.
Correct.
Without, basta yun, parang pandinig mo. If
Tumatalim eh.
if
Tumatalim.
somebody
Yep.
sings out of tune, naiinis ka agad.
Yep.
You can sense it immediately.
Yep.
So when you read something, there's a typo error. There's
Grammatical
a
error. Yep.
You will know agad.
Wow.
So it helps you become a better
Ang galing.
communicator.
Ang galing.
So
Ang galing.
I believe Lea Salonga is Lea Salonga not because purely of singing talent. It's because she has brains. And how do you develop the brains? You can have genetically passed on inherited high IQ genes.
Yep.
But if you don't train it, it's like muscles.
Yep.
You don't walk, it will atrophy, walang development.
Yep.
So, she has first-rate intelligence.
Galing.
Si Chris Aquino, si Ann Curtis, si
Yep.
Sarah Geronimo.
Yep.
Sarah Geronimo is good actress, good singer, good acting.
Yeah.
But very few people know she loves to read.
Grabe. I remembered, Wilson, there was one episode that we did together.
Yes, Lance.
And then you told me na reading and writing pala is actually a noble and the highest form of art in Chinese society.
Yes.
In mainland, right?
Especially poetry.
Yeah, poetry, literature, right?
Yes.
But I can't help but wonder, bakit here in the Philippines, it's often, neglected,
Not even important.
not that important. Like, I mean, journalists have great jobs and careers, but you wouldn't see them in the top 10 earning people in the country.
Even literary writers.
Media people, diba?
Yes,
TV
yes.
personalities, anchors, diba?
And proof of that, I agree, Lance, with the observation mo and observation ko. Look at the bookstores. Look at the sales of newspapers. I remember reading before, there was a boss of a newspaper daw in the 1970s.
Okay.
At the height of reading newspapers worldwide, ang frustration daw niya, there's not a single newspaper in the Philippines daw with a daily circulation of more than 1 million copies each day. Not a single. In a country with tens of millions
Exactly.
of people.
We're already over 100
110
million,
million
diba?
people.
And
But you go to a small country like South Korea with maybe 40 million people.
Yep.
Singapore, maybe 3, 4, 5 million people.
yeah.
They have so many readers. The bookstores are amazing. You go to China, you go to Japan, Korea, yung subway nila, I remember in China, I was riding a taxi.
Yes.
I was seated in front, and then the taxi driver sa side niya, there's a book. I was asking the taxi driver, whose book is this? Sabi ng taxi driver, that's my book. Nagulat ako. So I was asking, why are you reading books? Hindi ko question siya. I'm not questioning him.
Na parang it's not something you see every day,
Yes,
right?
I'm just curious why are you reading? And then the taxi driver looks at me like a weird question. Like what I said was a weird question. He said, don't you know people who don't read, they are missing a lot? I amazed. I
Wow.
was amazed.
Wow.
That's a taxi driver in the city of Chongqing, I think. And then I could not forget any bookstore in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, you go to, it's like SM department store or supermarket. The entire building, bookstore is like 5, 6, 7-story building, escalators and everything, and full of people with shopping bags,
Yes.
full of books. And there are even places in China and Taiwan and Hong Kong, 24-hour bookstores, 24-hour open. And when you go there, I could see young people and other people seated on the stairs,
Yes.
on the side, reading books. We have to encourage a reading culture in the Philippines. I put the blame to our lack of reading to the Spanish colonizers. I think because
Really?
one of the reasons, and not the only reason, because the Spanish colonizers in their 300 years rule in the Philippines did not really encourage education of the masses.
Why was that? Were they lazy in general?
I have a
Yeah.
theory. We were the physically farthest colony from Spain.
Okay.
All the colonies of Spain are not that far.
Okay.
Mostly in Mexico, Latin America, Central America. So they ride a boat going to their colonies, maybe a few weeks lang nandun na. But coming halfway around the world to the Philippines is like maybe half a year or 1 year to arrive here. So very few people want to stay in the Philippines among the Spaniards. So they were totally outnumbered here in the Philippines.
Kaya pala.
Throughout history
Yeah.
of Philippines, maybe a few million
Yeah.
Filipinos and maybe a few thousand Spaniards. So I think they were paranoid. They were afraid na
Kung tumalino to, right?
if you educate the masses,
Correct.
they might realize, why will we let you
Exactly.
govern us?
Exactly.
Why will you order us around? We have our own mindset and
I
thinking.
see. I see.
I think they deliberately did not encourage mass
Yeah.
education. Proof to you of that, after 333 years of Spanish colonial rule, how many people speak Spanish in the Philippines now? Almost none. Nobody. You go to
It
Mexico,
wasn't a priority.
you go to
no?
Mexico, Argentina, Uruguay, all over Central America,
Right.
Nicaragua, everybody speaks Spanish.
Right.
Kasi,
Do you think, Wilson, it could be correlated to we were a third world country, right? And a third world country has to be ultra efficient para
Yes.
we can meet the economic needs. Unlike
Yes.
first world country, lahat there is middle wagers, right?
yes, but don't forget, all these wealthy countries, even when they were poor yet, reading was popular among the masses.
Okay. Okay.
In the Philippines, a theory ko, that is one reason, not the only reason.
Yeah.
I think the Spaniards during their 3 centuries rule here did not develop mass education, public
Yes.
education. So because of that, reading was not part of the culture.
Yeah.
It wasn't
And-
encouraged.
and-
Books and libraries.
So actually, that's actually a very interesting thing now, Wilson.
Yes.
And I think it would be correlated now to why the professions in this industry, the journalism, isn't making as much, even if their work is so
Very
hard.
important.
It's very important, exactly.
Yes.
And not to mention, Wilson, there was an era as well, and there was a regime then where journalists are attacked also. Diba?
Throughout
So,
the
parang ang
generation.
hirap talaga
Not only that,
to be...
books authors in the Philippines are not very well compensated.
Correct.
And to be a bestseller in the Philippines, you just sell 1,000 copies a year, you're considered a bestseller. You have 1,000, 5,000 books sold in a year.
That's tough.
That's considered a bestseller.
Okay.
You go to China, Europe, or US, you have to sell tens
Yeah.
of thousands, 500,000 book or millions of books.
Yep.
Like in China, the three-body problem,
Yep.
that is a science fiction book. In Europe alone and US, it sold millions of copies in the English version, not in the
Grabe.
Chinese version.
Grabe.
So you can live full-time
Right.
writing novels. Like Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks, the one who writes all these romance novels. in
Yeah, yeah,
America.
yeah, yeah.
9 to 5 job niya ang
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. So hopefully, this showed, aims to at least promote reading, writing, and media in general.
Awareness.
No, media
Yes.
awareness
And support for
and support.
media.
Correct.
We should buy newspapers. We should read newspapers.
It's a very interesting.
To develop our minds.
Yep.
Para hindi tayo mabola. So the political leaders wouldn't dumb down the masses.
Ganda.
Or fool the citizenry.
What?
We have to be aware.
My next question, Wilson, is, okay, let's say, nagets na ng audience natin what the relevance of
Drink coffee, yes.
reading and writing is, no, in general, right? What do you think then are some of the responsibilities that come with having a voice, a media platform? Like earlier you were telling me, Wilson,
Yes.
Niana Guerrero, no, a very famous influencer in TikTok, visited your cafe with over 40 million followers, diba? But
interviewed me and my
correct,
bakers.
diba? I want to
10
ask,
hours here,
if you have that voice, if you have a media platform, what are the responsibilities that come with it?
Very good. That's a great question. I'm surprised you're very young, but that's a great, brilliant question for people who are much older than you are. Very good. I think in the world that is very chaotic now, not only Philippines, US, everywhere, people with media influence and media platform should try to not only entertain people, hopefully should enlighten and give knowledge to people, empower them with knowledge and truth, and most importantly, sana hopefully to inspire their lives. Most of the things that we read and hear and watch in social media are mostly entertainment
Yep.
and gossip and entertainment things. But I think inspiring people, enlightening people, uplifting people, improving them intellectually, morally, physically,
Yeah.
would be a great way to maximize the usefulness of their media
Yeah.
platform.
Minsan it's not all about just making money, eh,
Yes.
right? Sometimes it's all about in the piece that you wrote, about
Yeah.
about the story of, diba, Miss Tessie, right?
Si Miss Tessie
right?
Coulson.
Maybe
She is a very amazing woman.
correct.
I was amazed because Miss Tessie Coulson,
Yeah.
she is very down to earth, hardworking, and very efficient.
Yeah.
She
But still reads and writes well, diba?
yes,
I mean,
and
that's
speaks very
exactly.
well. I was amazed kasi
Kahit very reserved na tao, right?
and she's not a politician, she's not a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's not her profession to speak in
Yeah.
public. In a rare talk to Anvil Business Club for the whole night, she spoke eloquently and very frankly about her success, even her crisis. I personally asked her, what are your worst crises? She mentioned several amazing, very
Grabe.
inspiring,
Yeah.
how she persevered and overcame crisis.
Yep.
And her success secrets.
Yep.
You can, Lance, if you want to read the entire column of Philippine Star, just Google Wilson Lee Flores, philstar.com,
Yeah.
Teresita C. Coulson. Also, I have the same day today, I also have a column on her father,
Yeah.
Henry C. Sr. in billionario.com
Yeah.
and in Abante.
Parang ano to, no?
Abante.
Mama, I made it moment, right? With Wilson and Miss Tessie C. Coulson, right? Imagine
I
that.
have 3 columns today about this topic. This one also, sa Abante.
Right. Okay, last question, Wilson,
Yes.
this episode, right? Our generation, with the advent of technology and fast-paced
Yes.
culture, how would you encourage these children, or I wouldn't say children, younger
Yes.
generation with attention span of a goldfish, to read and write
Great
religiously?
description,
Religiously.
Great description.
Diba?
I'll tell you one more thing, Bala, I forgot to add. Many people, including me, we love to read news all online, mostly online. Many people do not read anymore on paper. Based on scientific studies I've read, scientific studies say when you're a student, you go to school, you read textbook on paper, or you read newspapers on paper, you read books on paper, better for your intellect, better for memory retention. You retain what you read faster,
Versus
better,
just happening
online.
upon it,
I
scrolling.
don't know why.
I mean-
Scientifically, it's better daw
Correct.
retention memory, number one. Number two, better for your eyes. I'll tell you why.
Oh,
Because
syempre, ang sakit na to sa mata.
yung sa
Ang
screen,
silaw, right?
oo.
Yeah.
Always the screen.
Yeah.
You always watch this
Correct.
on the it's parang bad for the eyes.
Correct.
Number three, bad for your sleep. Okay lang sa daytime and afternoon you read online.
Yeah.
But many people in the world, time for sleep already, still
Yeah.
watching social media and movies, whatever, online. It will prolong your
Yeah.
wakefulness. So
Galing.
many people in the world have insomnia now, worldwide, because of. But the good thing about reading on paper, that's why that's what I plan to do nga eh. I want to have a small bookshelf in my bedroom.
Yep.
Before going to sleep, I will read a few. The easiest way to sleep, read your textbook, read newspaper, read novels or whatever before you sleep. That's the best way to go to sleep.
Galing.
So
Galing.
physically, it's very good for our
So-
reading.
To our listeners and our viewers, no, I hope you take that tip from Wilson himself, no, na, you may spend your time online, but please also spend some time reading and writing and really
Yes.
appreciating modern and traditional media.
One more
Right?
last thing I want to tell you. I noticed one thing among young generation natin na nakikiyang. I
Pwede
noticed
naman, pwede
I
naman.
noticed whenever people go to social gatherings, parties, dinners with the family, 90% of the people seated in one table, on one table,
Yep.
90% all absorbed in their own world of social media and phones instead of talking across the table to each other.
Yeah.
I
And
noticed that.
learning from each other.
Yes. So we have to balance that also.
Yep. All right. Basically, that's it for episode 2 of Pandesal Talks, wherein we talked about the power of writing, reading, and traditional media in general. We're here in our Pandesal segment of the day,
Aha.
and we have a different bread with us, no? Wilson, pinili natin and we chose this bread in specifically kulay pink for some reason, right?
Yes.
Because I overheard your conversation earlier
Yes.
that for some reason former VP Leni Robredo is her favorite bread daw in
Personal
your cafe,
favorite. Yes.
right? Could you tell us more about
Yes.
about this bread, no?
When former Vice President Leni Robredo came here 3 times. The first time she came here, she went to the baking area and she saw this. Her face lit up in
Naging pink?
smile.
Naging pink yung
Nag-smile
face?
siya. Hindi pa siya pink na ginagamit ha.
Okay.
Not yet ha.
Oh,
Kasi
wow.
she used pink only when she ran for president.
Yep.
But before that, she told me, uy, favorite kong tinapay yan. Sabi ko, why? She grew up in Naga City in Bicol region in Camarines Sur province. This is her favorite childhood bread. Sabi ko, what do you call that in Naga City? In Naga City, this bread is called maligaya. Maligaya in Tagalog.
What do you call it here in the cafe?
Very good. Maligaya in Tagalog means happy. I think in Bicol, it's also happiness or happy. We call this kalihim. And I remember when Chris Aquino, the President Noynoy Aquino's younger sister,
Yep.
when she came in to interview me, when she saw this, sabi niya, ay kalihim, does that mean secretary? Because kalihim in the Philippines means secretary, like Secretary of Finance, Secretary
Ganun pala. Okay.
of Public Works.
Okay.
Sabi ko, no, because Chris Aquino comes from a political family. Immediately in her mind, political,
Yeah.
kalihim is secretary. I said, the reason this is called kalihim, this is a secret of many small traditional bakeries in the Philippines. Trade secret. That's why it's called kalihim. Many unsold breads every day at the end of the day, they recycle next day in the morning. The bakers will recycle the old breads and then put coloring and inside and then bagong bread na. Kaya kalihim, it's a secret of many bakeries. But in many places in the Philippines, this bread has many fascinating, colorful names.
When
The beautiful actress Marian Rivera of GMA7 came to interview me on TV, when she saw this, she smiled immediately and very happy. She said, favorite childhood bread niya in Dasmariñas, Cavite. And in her hometown, this is called pan de regla. And
Kasi, of course,
that's
kakulay, no? Yeah.
This is a strawberry flavor, no?
Clarification lang.
Yes. In other places of the Philippines, this is called floor wax. In other places of the Philippines,
floor wax?
In other
Right.
places of the Philippines, they call it lipstick. Lipstick.
Okay.
And in other places, they call this alembong. And controversially, very controversial, in Visayan-speaking regions of the Philippines, in the central Philippines, they call this burikat yata or something. It means prostitute. It's a Visayan word for prostitute yata. It has all kinds of names all over the Philippines. Kaya this is a Filipino bread with many colorful, exciting names. And very delicious. Kalihim.
Okay, so bili kayo ng ating kalihim in Kamuning Bakery Cafe, right? A bread that was, that enlightened and gave a smile to super celebrities Marian, right? VP Lenny Robredo, Chris Aquino, and the like, no?
All kinds of people.
So yeah, thanks Wilson for that Pandesal segment.
Thank you,
and
Lance.
that's it for episode 2. Thanks guys.
Ang daming pangalan ito, nakakatawa.